Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Press. We're reaching you live from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we have our analyst, Obadiah Mbila, who is the CEO of Lovewalk Media. It's great to have you on the show today again, sir.
Thank you so very much, and good morning, Nigeria.
Once again, you're welcome to the program.
Good to be here again.
All right, so our phone lines are open. You can call in to make your contributions or ask your questions. Now, there are quite a number of stories, but because of time, we'll try and see how we can manage the next 40 minutes. But Guardian newspapers reads, EPA hired to destabilize Southeast, frustrate Kanu's release on to enrich himself. That's coming from Ohaneze Ndibo. And then I'm sure you saw that all that happened a few days ago, especially in Enugu State. And then we saw how much with the order made by the governor of Enugu State, asking people must go about their normal businesses, but yet people are still not able to go about their normal businesses, asking how much security have you been able to provide, and then still make that order asking people, because you have to provide security to ensure that people are safe out there. So, and then you have this comment coming from the Ohaneze Ndibo, but yet you have them still saying that release Nnamdi Kanu. What are your thoughts in all of this, putting them together?
You know, the action of the Enugu State governor should be commended. The governors are the chief security officer. I said that in quote because, you know, at the end you discover that they are not really in control of the security apparatus that even operates
in their states,
within their own states. But they have influence over the security issues in the country, in their state. So to that extent, one expects that the governors should be proactive. They have not been that in the previous administration. So what Governor Mbila began to do in Enugu, if replicated by other governors, just that mere assurance that come on, rise up, go to work. Because there is this liturgy that has come upon business people, students, every business operators in Southeast is very, very conscious about what could be the reaction of the so-called IPOBs if they discover that they are going out, you know, out there for their businesses on Monday.
Because I had to borrow. I recall talking to someone last weekend, and then they said that some of this the IPOBs, or I don't know if I should call it the infiltrated ones, but some of them came out, got with their guns. The gunmen came out and then threatened people around Olu, asking them they should not dare come out on Monday, thinking that they are safe.
Yeah, in the Southeast, actually, what obtains is that no one, when I say no one, no one is willing to risk going out to do his business on Mondays.
Regardless of the governor's orders.
No. What is it just enough to say, come on, go out? But what I'm saying is that it's also good that the governors are saying, come out on Mondays. Come out on every other day. They say you should sit at home. But one would like the governors to also take a further step by liaising with the Office of the Inspector General of Police, and then of course all other security apparatus that operates within the Southeast, and say come out and make sure that you give security cover to people who goes about their businesses on those sit-at-home days.
Okay, sorry to cut you short now. If we talk about liaising with the Inspector General of Police to provide security cover on those days that has been illegally declared as sit-at-home by the members of the IPOB, if the security operatives will provide cover on that day, what happens to the miscreants who have made the good people of the Southeast, who have almost rendered them useless every particular day of the week?
The miscreants that have boxed the citizens.
Yes, because I saw some footages on the internet, I think in Enugu over the weekend, where businesses were being destroyed.
Yeah.
And I saw, and there was a baby crying, like crying. I think the mother ran away out of fear. And the baby was there. They were shooting guns in the air.
Yeah.
Why? These people are not spirits.
That's right.
These people live in the southeast.
Yeah. Yeah. When I said that the governor should liaise with the Office of the Inspector General of Police, and then, of course, other security apparatus that operate within their domain, within their jurisdiction. Why I said that is because the police have their schedule as is obtained in every state, and they are supervised from Abuja, not from within the state. Now, their schedule need to change within Southeast. It should not be normal or usual routine. This time around, they know that there is extra job that need to be done on Mondays to checkmate these hoodlums. Because in the past, as you can see in the footage of the video you are referring to, they come out and molest people unchallenged. Now, if they now discover that the security men are out there waiting for them, they will allow people to go to their out there for their normal businesses. It is a pitiable situation, but it has begun to eat into the fabrics of the southeastern society. When on Sunday, people are planning on what to do from the beginning of the week, that is Monday. In the southeast, they are planning on how to provide for themselves, and remain indoors. If you go out there and tell them, look, go, nothing will happen. None of them are going to come out. The Enugu state government went as far as threatening schools that refuse to open on Mondays. Who can risk when you are not very sure that the security apparatus are there defending you? So if I like what the Borno State Commissioner for Police did, but he need to take a step further. It's not enough to go and apprehend these people when they have done the harm, when they have caused the havoc. Why not take proactive measure to make sure that these hoodlums do not operate on Mondays or any other day for that matter?
All right, so like I said, that headline that I read out, I would like us to go back to it. Ekpa hired to destabilize Southeast, frustrate Kanu's release to enrich himself. That's coming from Ohanes and Dibu. So do you actually agree to the fact that you have someone who is somewhere far away in Finland, just makes an order, and the whole of Southeast is destabilized?
Yeah, this is not about the whole of Southeast obeying an order from Finland. No, it is a case of criminals that have a network somehow covering the Southeast and beyond. EPA cannot operate if he has no receiving agents within the states of the Southeast. As you can see, he is from Ebonyi State. And those guys that came to harass people, which video was shared, shared virally, they are from his state. So if others, maybe those from Abia, Imo, refuse to obey, somehow he has a way of influencing those from his state. But all this will come to an end if they know that the security that operates, the security operatives, the state actors are up there to extinguish whatever fire they want to inflame.
Okay, so let me just bring it in before we leave this topic. What will, or how much will, if I've heard a lot of people come out to, statesmen come out to beg President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to temper justice with mercy with regards to releasing Nnamdi Kanu. So will it even do any good in terms of this sit-at-home order every Monday? Yeah,
the reason for the sit-at-home is because of Nnamdi Kanu. So they said, Although the EPA dimension has shown that there is criminal elements that are working to make sure that they destabilize Southeast. But what if Nnamdi Kanu is set free today? What reason would anyone advance for the Southeast to observe a sit-at-home? Since they say it was because of Nnamdi Kanu, and Nnamdi Kanu has been released by President Bola Tinubu. Hope he does that. What other reason would this hoodlum advance? Nnamdi Kanu is free, so they have no justifiable reason to say people must sit at home. Besides, the family of Nnamdi Kanu, even Nnamdi Kanu himself, have gone ahead to say, look, stop this. This is not for me. And they are still going on to do these illegalities. Nnamdi Kanu said, don't do this for me. So why not obey the young man?
But if Nnamdi Kanu has said, don't do this for me, and it persists, don't you think it's probably because he has lost control over the group itself? And if he has said, don't do it, and it continues, what assurances are we having here now that when he returns, he would be able to put an end to it?
You see, that is the problem with groups that operate with this type of criminal style. And that is where when you initiate a group with a good intention, you still have problems in the future, because some people might want to split the group and form their own parallel group. It has happened all through the history. If you know that the original initiator of non-violence movement was Gandhi himself. Then Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's really was Gandhi's student. And he started a movement that's supposed to be non-violent. But before you knew it, splinter groups began to operate in states where they had advantage position, using violence, and in the process trying to destroy the original movement of Southern Christian whatever that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was operating. So they were splinter groups that operates with violence. Right now, even if Nnamdi Kanu comes out from the cell, he will still face the problem of stopping those criminal elements that has infiltrated his movement. The movement, no doubt, has been infiltrated. It has been hijacked. A group, they are operating in a way that Nnamdi Kanu did not even suggest. And there are some carrying gun that are carrying gun openly, claiming to be members of the IPOB, the armed department of IPOB. I'm sure this were not original idea of Nnamdi Kanu, but now the group has been polarized. So you have the challenge of managing the group in a new way.
All right, let's go to other stories. Let's still stay on Guardian newspaper. Says Ministerial list, 5 ex-governors, technocrat, lead Tinubu's 42-man candidates, cabinet, I beg your pardon. And then right in that picture, you'll find Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you find some ex-governors, Badaro, you find Ganduje or Gandola, you find ex-governor of River State, Yesom Wike, you find former governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai. You also find Kebbi State Governor, the former one, and then Wale Edun. Like quite a number of faces that you might think would not make it to that list. Especially I recall reading from former Governor Nasser El-Rufai, who said he might not be taking any position because he needs to further his education to the doctorate degree. And then you see some faces. You see faces like Wike's face. You see faces like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you know, the APC Bola Tinubu presidency was confronted by a challenge they did not envisage. The popularity of APC almost was waning during and after the election. So, as a good politician, he is taking some steps to enlarge the structure of his governance, his government. And so, bringing Wike, PDP chieftain, although he did not support his presidential candidate, but he has never denounced his membership of PDP.
Okay, so I hear you say bring in to expand his cabinet.
Expand his structure, not the cabinet.
Okay, his structure.
The structure
but then I hear some people say it is compensation, because if you look at the...
However you look at it, it's the same. We are using...
And in some quarters they say it's running government unity.
Government of national unity.
National unity.
So it all depends on the brand that you would like to prefer. Now, to Wike, it means compensation, but to President Tinubu, it means expansion of his structure, and that's the same reason why he had to go to Kanu and brought in Kwakwanso, who is an arch enemy of Ganduje, a known promoter of the Asiwaju presidency. Now, people thought that this would bring conflict. Sure, it will certainly bring conflict between Ganduje group and Kwakwanso group. But it is to President Bola Tinubu's advantage if Kanu is captured into his structure than losing Kanu. The same thing he's doing in River State. For instance, I am reliably informed that the skirmishes that would have erupted in National Assembly minority leadership was quelled when Kwakwanso rose up to the occasion to say, look, don't oppose APC at National Assembly, because we are working together. And that is how an NNPP man emerged as a minority leader. Is it whip or leader?
Whip.
All right. Now he is assisted by an LP nominee who would have been the first person. So to compensate for Kwakwanso's alignment, NNPP is leading in the minority nomination of the National Assembly. Many thanks to Kwakwanso. So this is what I mean by expanding his structure, the structure of his government. And it is good for him. So interpreters might say, he's compensating Kwakwanso, he's compensating Wike. Yes, that's the meaning. But he's also doing himself a lot of good by expanding the structure of his
structure.
Yes.
But now, generally, looking at the nominees, like we are counting days to the unveiling of his ministerial nominees. Yeah. What are your expectations as regards the nominations? And do you see a situation whereby the appointment of the ministers and apportioning of portfolios to them, do you see it setting Nigeria on the path to the renewed hope that the President Tinubu has promised Nigerians? Looking at the names that are being suggested, looking at the rumored names, do they streamline towards a renewed hope?
Quite frankly, I don't like making my judgment based on rumor. I would prefer a situation where I have seen the list, and then I can now analyze what the list means, both for Nigerians and then the presidency too. But so far, I am afraid, I would say, that the way and manner appointment that has been made so far are going. I'm just praying that President Bola Tinubu will not be the southern type of President Buhari.
Okay.
You know, Nigeria is has been so polarized. we have been so divided.
What exactly do you mean when you make that statement? The southern
tilting
part
towards ethnic,
you know, every one of us knew that President Buhari was managing this country with his northern appointees. He didn't. He felt that he doesn't owe anybody any apology by making sure that if he has 12 appointees, 11 are from the north. He didn't show any remorse. He didn't show any regret. All right. So how would you want President Bola Tinubu to toe similar line?
But if you have to look at the appointment that he has made from the service chiefs to his
the service chiefs,
would you say that
perfect? In fact, that area is perfect.
So there are ethnic balancing when it comes to that regard.
It's perfect. So, but I would like what he has done with the service chief to be replicated in other appointments. For an example, during President Buhari's tenure, the Senate president was from the north. The Senate leader was from the north. This is not to count other northern elements from the presidency to the chief judge of the federation and down the line. Is that what we expect from an intelligent human being like Bola Ahmed Tinubu? I expect so much from him with his exposure, with his education. You know, the former President Buhari did tell us that he is a header. So he speaks the language of the headsmen. All right. So, but Bola Tinubu is exposed. He has worked in Nobel. He has worked in an international organization. He has lived in exile in the United States. In his contribution towards making democracy work in Nigeria.
And, so, now he's sitting as the chairman of ECOWAS.
I was going to get to that.
Yes. So his exposure is far, far, far above what we expected from President Buhari. Some of us were not disappointed with the Buhari ethnic inclination. We were not disappointed because we know that is his character. He is known for that. But in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Lagos, we have seen him extending right hand of fellowship to other tribal people in Lagos. So here, I expect that the presidency should not be skewed in favor of either North or South, for either Muslim or Christians. Let it be a balanced governance.
All right. All right, let's take probably our last story for today. Vanguard newspaper, in fact, all the newspapers, almost all of them, but then let's take it from Vanguard. It says governments of ex-presidents must account for $5 billion Abacha loot. And the writer to that story says Federal High Court orders administration of ex-president Obasanjo, late Musa Yar'Adua, God bless his soul, Jonathan Buhari, to account for repatriated funds, and then Serap urges Tinubu to obey court order. So I'd like you to take that story. This Abacha loot that keeps giving. What are your thoughts on it?
I think our democracy is growing. A situation where we are reminding those that are sitting today that accountability is also waiting for them immediately they vacate office.
Okay, so I'm so sorry I have to butt in there, but then I think there's a story that you read about ministers being asked to account.
I think that story.
So I'd like you to just take them together.
That story is on the front page of the Nation newspaper, and it reads: ex-ministers get 3 months deadline to declare assets. 3 month deadline for ex-public officers to declare assets. Isn't that
enough time to?
Isn't that enough time to make some illegal changes, to do things that are really not? I think a declaration of assets should have been done at the very least 3 months
at the point of entry,
at the point of
at the point of exit,
not after exit.
Not after exit.
So
that's the way to go
all together.
Yeah. So, but here we know that at the point of entry, you are required to declare your assets, and also at the point of exit. But you know, the problem in this country affects all the agencies and departments, so corruption is also still rearing its ugly head in all these areas. By right, these governors, these parliamentarians, you know, need not leave the office without representing to the which agency is in charge of this public accountability?
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct. That's right. Without their presenting their card. We gave you this when we were coming in. During this period, I have added one house or two or 3 cars or 4, as the case may be. That's the purpose
or maybe
of this.
Animals, cows.
Whatever. You had cats before, and now you have 3 cats.
More SUVs, more bulletproof.
Exactly. So it is at the point, using the point of exit to compare with what he had when he was coming in. That's where you find out whether he went there to enrich himself or not. But it does appear that they are more serious with the point of entry declaration than the point of exit. I don't know why it is like that. But then, a consciousness, a society consciousness is being raised when people know that they are expected to account
to be accountable
at the point of exit. Perhaps it will bring a new orientation that makes people to be officers, elected persons to be very conscious of how he handle public.
Okay, so you've not actually finished on that, the repatriated fund, the Abacha loot, $5 billion US.
Yeah.
By indicting former ex-presidents.
Yeah. You see, it is so funny that we only hear about Abacha loot, and this thing has been on and on since the days of Obasanjo up till the day of Muhammadu Buhari. We suddenly hear $10 billion has been recovered, Abacha loot. How is it that we only hear the amount? We never see verifiably those structures where this money was used. It's really worrisome. They tell us that this has been recovered, and we don't know how the
monies are being spent.
I think I read some time ago where I think it was the Accountant General of the Federation that said some of these road constructions, that's where some of this Abacha loot were channeled towards.
It's not enough. Abacha loot has become an institutionalized crime that every one of us are aware of. We should also be aware of where this loot is being expended. You should say, look, from Lokoja to Abuja, we want to dualize it with this money recovered from so-and-so place named Abacha loot. Or we are trying to upgrade the federal universities with the money that we got from the Abacha loot. That's very specific. It should not be. If you look down in this matter, we should query, how is it that this Abacha loot is being shared across the board without passing through budgetary process? Because if it passes through budgetary process, it helps us to achieve accountability. But here, it's like an executive order. This is wrong.
All right. Finally, before we let you go, if you can help us in 1 or 2 minutes, we saw the boss move made by former governor of Ogun State, OGD, that's Otumba Gbenga Daniels, where he stated that his conscience will no longer allow him to continue accepting pensions as an ex-governor. So he wrote that that he should be stopped immediately because his conscience could not allow him again. But then we're expecting some other ex-governors who are now in the Senate to do the same. Do you actually see this happening anytime soon?
We are separating the boys from men. Men with conscience and men without conscience. Otumba Gbenga Daniel, I'm touched by your action. He is not the first governor that found himself taking salary from a different source other than the one he's receiving pension from. Before him, we have had Alhaji Saraki,
yes,
a 2-time governor who became a Senate president and was still collecting his pension. What of the present sitting president? as an ex-governor, he was still collecting his own salary in the Senate. But here we have one man who decided to stand up. I am touched. I just pray that I was not on A. I am greatly touched by that sincerity. That's what we expected men who call themselves leaders to do in the past. But here, Otoba Benga Daniel has become the first. He deserves an award.
Thank you so much, Obadiah and Mbila. What a fine way to actually anchor this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Always. All right, so viewers, that's where we draw the curtain with regards to analysis on press.